Hey, Ben and Fadi. Thank you for joining me.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy to be here.
Um,
Hello.
how are you doing?
Good. After some heavy virus, being on holidays and couldn't really enjoy my holidays because I was in bed for 7 days with high fever. Now I'm back on track and good again.
I'm
How are
happy to
you?
hear that.
I'm good. Yeah.
Good. Just good.
I
Steady.
yeah, I'm all good.
Good. um, so you two have been doing a lot together the last few years, which is why I wanted to talk to you together. How did this happen? Like, how did you meet? How did the creative and personal affinity start?
Um, um, how did we meet? Through basically Toby Neumann. He was working in the studio. I was friends with Toby Neumann, and while I was actually setting up my new studio, I was talking a lot with Toby Neumann, and he was trying to explain me the new big or his big mixer. And then I found out that there's this young intern, or no, like not intern, but Fadi worked there, and he could explain everything much better than Toby could. I was like impressed by this young dude, and that was yeah sometime before COVID, and then during Corona, we started kind of working in the studio together, just locking ourselves up. I had the first time in many years time again to just do music, and that's where we started to go in different directions than just techno. And from then on, the idea evolved and led to this album, which is out now.
It's been quite a natural um, way of getting to know each other first, and then becoming friends, and we started making music together quite naturally, I would say.
Mm.
So
And Fadi, now you're on Circle Agency, your booking agency.
exactly,
Yes.
yes.
So you're playing back to back together, you're touring a lot
hmm
together.
Yes,
Mm.
that all evolved, I would say, through this mutual interest in music and in the friendship we just started to develop.
Yeah. Well, so you brought up the album, so let's talk about the album. Um, your collaborative release, Layer One, which is the debut LP on your label, Layer. Um, it's really incredible. It's an original piece of music. It's not at all what I was expecting. And I'm sure other people might have said that to you. It explores broken beat, jazz, IDM, electronica with this very distinctly kind of sci-fi sound palette, and it all sounds very cohesive. You're both known for classic techno, obviously. So, how did this album come to be?
Basically, we wanted to experiment a lot with the instruments that we had in the studio. I think early on it was quite clear that we didn't just want to make the stuff that we are comfortable with and that we used to. So it was actually kind of, or I would say the first intention was really to just let go of everything that we know and try to search for new sounds and a new way of making music for
Mm.
us. Yeah.
Did your actual process in writing it differ from how you would go into the studio to write a techno track?
I think it did a little bit. Yeah, I mean, when you do a techno track, you can kind of start with a bass drum, and like it's the typical how you build a track. So I guess it was. I mean, also we came to that spot with the album with a lot of experimenting, and we went through phases where we used a lot of instruments, like everything that was there in the studio, to finally came to a point realizing that the more we reduce ourselves to just a certain like key instruments and go from there, and then maybe add some other stuff that we needed, but really to make the setup much smaller, um, that led us more to a style that was cohesive,
Yeah.
that fulfilled like one picture that we had in mind. This whole theme or kind of picture, the image that we developed in our head, that is maybe a bit different from just writing a techno track, where it's more like, okay, we want like people to dance and have fun. It was just way more open in a way, the concept musically, but also very focused. The picture we wanted to fulfill in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I know in past interviews, Ben, you've said that you especially tend not to embark on writing an album unless you feel that there's a very strong concept. And it feels that there is a strong concept here. Referring to the press text, it says, Layer 1 delves into a post-human world where humans are close to extinction on Earth, leaving only imprints, traces, and relics behind. Digital fossils and machine-generated images capturing fleeting moments of non-human photography. And it kind of goes on. It's like a bit somber in a way. And it depicts this world that's continues to exist and flourish, but humanity it's gone, which kind of resonates with the moment that we're living in right now. Did this concept precede the music, or did it come after you wrote these songs?
I think it went hand in hand, kind of. We made music, and then the more we found, oh, that's what we actually want to do, like in experimenting and the sound we made, then came the concept, or then we saw, oh, this is actually a bit like, this kind of sci-fi video game style or something. And then we defined more, that's actually what we want. Because we had a lot of like analog, warm sounds that were a bit just too, not really fitting the moment or something, as we felt. And so we defined the concept more by going actually with the music. Like it went just hand in hand.
There were a lot of tracks that we just threw away. So a lot of tracks. Yeah, I mean, really a lot. Actually, like more than 1.5 years or 2 years of making music.
I mean, we made like
every day, basically.
3 or 4 albums or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So it's like a very we narrowed down everything, like in terms of instruments we used and in terms of the concept, and I think that led to this very, very distinctive sound. I would say.
Yeah. There's a lot of like very intricate sound design that seems, when I think of your music especially, it's like more analog groove, and this seems like, I'm not sure what your production process was like exactly. Obviously you use machines, but it seemed like there's so much detail. I also wanted to talk about the guests on this album. I was surprised, just in the sense that they come from far beyond the classic techno remit. Cobey Sey and Flowdan, so a singer and an MC, both known for their involvement in East London's grime scene. Why did you ask them to do vocals, and how did that idea come about? Because I really loved it. I think it's super effective, but again, not what I would have expected.
Well, I think especially with this very machine based music, we knew early on that we wanted to add a human touch and a human voice in there. And for me, Cobey's music really stood out, I would say. Especially his track Item, I think it's called, just blew me away, and I just knew that if we wanted to have one vocalist, it should be definitely him. You were the one that suggested Flowdan, I think, with the Welcome to London track that you showed me. And I mean, he's a legend, obviously.
Yeah.
And his voice just perfectly fits into the vibe of our whole album.
Yeah. It also adds a nice counterbalance to what is otherwise could be kind of dark.
Mm-hmm.
Like it gives it some warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do each of you bring to your collaborative process? Like when you sit in the studio, are there ways you've influenced each other, inspired each other, things you've learned from each other?
What was really clear with us is like we both do everything. It was not like one is only on that one machine or one does only the arranging or this and that. Like we did everything in the studio together, like every little touch. It was not like, okay, today I work alone in the studio and do this bit or something. I mean, a lot of collaborations also work with like sending each other stems or something. That we didn't do. I mean, that was also a bit like when we started during COVID, like I said, we just locked ourselves up in the studio. And so we did just everything together, and it worked really quite nicely that we kind of had very much the same ideas. And then maybe there was a little bit of like a veto thing going on. If there's like something we tested and like, what do you think about this sound? And if one of us is not 100% sure about it, then okay, kick it out. Like like we both had to be 100% happy with every little touch we did, basically.
Yeah. I think that's nice because when you're making music alone, sometimes I feel that one can deliberate a lot or be like get frozen over a decision. Whereas if you have someone there, it makes things easier.
That I feel like when working with someone, like that I enjoyed a lot with working with Fadi, because I can get stuck with this. Like you listen to things in a loop and up to a moment where I'm not sure anymore. Is this good now? Or is this like you need some feedback sometimes? I mean, a lot of times you're completely certain about what you do. You're sure what you want. You know what it is and stuff. But then other times when you get locked up in this loop in your head and you really need a push from outside, like that wakes you up and says, "Hey, this is nonsense. Just
yes,
like, let's move on." Or no, this is amazing. Like that is the good. It actually speeds up sometimes the process even, instead of like going for hours round and round in your head, not knowing if this is something or not. Like when you're two people, you just know quicker if it's something or not.
Yeah. I mean, Fadi, you do a lot of collaborations. It seems to me you're part of, or I'm thinking mostly of the Wiesenweg, like this live project. Can you tell me about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean that also started during COVID, basically, when Rudd had invited me to a studio for the what was it, the store live stream that happened. It's Rodhat's concept that he started just before COVID or during COVID, I'm not sure, where he actually started collaborating with a lot of people, first like his friends and locals based in Berlin, and now he's doing a lot of music with all these young artists, which is amazing, of course.
Yeah.
And I just happened to be here in Berlin, stuck, of course, during COVID, and he invited me for this store live session, and we did some tracks afterwards, and so that's how the record came together. And we just recently played live together.
What has inspired you to return to the studio now?
I mean, I always missed it during those years when, like I was just heavy touring. There was always something in the back of your mind that is just kind of unfulfilled, like that side. Because for me, it's two very different things, DJing and being in the studio. It's just complete, almost opposite sometimes. Like the feeling-wise, or what it gives you, the reward you feel or something when you finish a track. So yeah, I always missed it, but then again, coming back to this COVID break, like that gave me the opportunity to really just do that again. So I really enjoyed like the first half year or something of it. Like, of course, at some point that kicked in, like, where will this go and will we ever travel again? But in the beginning, it was just a blessing for me to being able to be back in the studio again. So that's how it started, and having a companion in the studio that made it even nicer and cozier.
Yeah. So for a long time, of course, you were mostly collaborating with Marcel Detman, which you still played together, but it seems like that's kind of, you've turned to the next chapter of collaborations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see where it goes. I mean, of course, I also feel like I want to do something alone again. That's probably my next aim. Just always have to, find the time for it and stuff. But the main thing was just touring hardcore, and it's not so easy to sometimes, like, coming back after the weekend, then you need a day off maybe, then you have a day to get into it, but it takes a few days maybe until you find a creative that it hits you. And then you're off again, or you need a day of emails and stuff. So it's always this time thing. Like,
I wonder with this album, your name is obviously connected to Berghain. I wonder if you feel like it's pigeonholed you at all into like only making and playing music within a certain style, and if you now are feeling some kind of maybe a need to break out of that, or to have people redefine the way they see you as an artist?
I never really felt this pressure, because I really, when I started playing at Berghain, I felt like I found my place. Like, I was maybe more before Berghain in the process of finding myself, or finding what I want to do. And then I found it, and it never felt like, oh, this is... I never really felt pigeonholed, and also I did house sets sometimes, or I still do sometimes. Once a year, panorama bar set or something like that, to kind of break away from it a bit. So it was not really a pressure or the need to break out of it. It was just like when we did this album together now, just enjoying to break away from it. Not as I need not like I need a break.
Yeah. I want to talk about your respective, like when you make solo work, your approaches to production. Ben, I know that you come from piano playing. And in the past, you've said that you feel like you need to tone down this side of your musical experience because you feel like it can introduce too many, or like too much musicality or too many elements. So I'm kind of curious about that, because I actually think you're a very strong songwriter, and maybe that comes from piano. And Fadi, I know that you are really into using your studio as an instrument. I've watched some videos of you in the studio, so it'd be great to just hear from each of you about how you approach your solo work.
I mean, that quote or something, that is probably from long time ago, and from that time, like finding what I actually want to do. And in that time, it was for sure true that, like, for me, it was a bit an obstacle almost in the way to produce techno. And then at some point it becomes a feature again, or something you profit from, being able to play a bit piano or something. But yeah, there was a time when I needed to put this a bit away, because otherwise you start like doing jazz solos or something, which is a bit annoying in techno. And
depends who you ask, but yeah.
Right, depends who you ask, right? But it didn't feel right with what I actually liked when I went clubbing or something. So there was a bit of a delta between. So to close that gap, I had to, like, don't be so musical. But then once I kind of was more focused, then it's actually a nice thing to have, absolutely. And then it opens up, of course, a bit more possibilities. Yeah.
Were you very serious at the piano? Like a serious student?
I was for a while. Like I thought I would study jazz piano for a while until I noticed that if I practice every day like 8 hours, then it just killed my love for music.
Yep.
So, like in the process of doing that, after that, I didn't listen to any music for months, or I didn't play any. I was really like done, and then it came back. But yeah, that's when I realized I'm not made for being like a professional on one instrument. That's what I love about studio, where you can just do whatever you want. Like you can you can do an orchestra if you wanted to, or like the possibilities are endless, and that's what I love about it.
Fadi, how about you?
I mean, for me, when I basically make music for myself, actually. And for me, it has always been kind of an escape from reality and like real life problems. So I actually really enjoy just locking myself in and just going with the flow, you know, and seeing where the moment takes me. So I think all of my solo works are actually just snapshots of the moments or moods that I'm in.
And you're using your modular synth quite a bit, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, from time to time, I used to use it more in the past. Maybe I don't wanna overuse it in a way, you know. So I actually change my setup quite a lot, and also exchange synthesizers and modules, of course, so that I don't stick to just like one setup for too long.
One of the reasons I was really interested in speaking with both of you at the same time is you do come from different generations, different eras of Berlin, and I wonder if you feel that you have any kind of like a difference in mentality at all, either just because of, you know, the environment you grew up in was different, or, you know, even just how much techno and the music industry has changed, you know, in the years that have elapsed since. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you like old, but you have been in the game, you know, quite a bit longer.
The good thing is that there's also individualism. Like it's not only every generation is like stereotypes. So with him, I felt like he's so close to me in terms of his approach to techno and the whole scene and clubbing and stuff. When you talk to other people in his generation, it would be completely different. So it was more for me like, oh, it's so good to see that, you know, there are actually artists in this generation that are so like that hold the core of techno so dear to their hearts, and are so like really live it, and he has such a knowledge of like, you know, old tracks and where it all comes from, the history of techno and stuff. It's I mean, that is something where we clicked like easily together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that really sums it up quite well. I feel actually quite connected in a way with the beginnings, even if I haven't been there, you know. So I just sucked it all up like a sponge, you know.
Yeah.
And like yeah. So I think that was really what I felt as well, you know. Like we are on the same page in a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'd say.
When you say the core of techno, what does that mean to you, aside from just like an older school style of techno music?
Yeah, maybe I don't mean even only the core of techno, but electronic music, like the knowledge about general electronic music, like that's also why this album came about, right? Like these IDM influences and all that stuff. But when it comes to core of techno, yeah, I don't know. I mean, for sure the style where it comes from and stuff, but also probably some cliche ideas of you know, being united on the dance floor and the positivity we felt in the 90s, you know, like everything's possible. And,
Yeah.
you know, especially in Berlin after the wall came down, like this kind of positive movement into the future. And that's maybe something that I relate to as some core values of techno.
You know, Berlin has changed a lot in the last 10 or so years. I mean, do you feel like that spirit is still alive? And not just Berlin, but I mean the industry at large.
Yes, I always feel like techno is kind of, it always comes back to techno. It's a bit like there's things popping up that evolve from it, but then it kind of comes, like techno always stays alive in a way underneath. It's that thing, like we talked about it earlier as well, like this, you know, when people say, oh, Berghain changed so much and Berlin changed so much, but I find sometimes you jump easy, quick to conclusions. Yeah, it all changed. But then actually when you think about it, sometimes it takes me a moment to really define what did actually change. It's sometimes easier to find the things, no, there's actually a lot still the same. Or and we saw, who was it, Ryan Elliott in a recent interview who said the same thing, like kind of, it's a lot, people like to complain easily, you know, like,
Yes.
Oh, it used to be so much better. But in the end, maybe also for us DJs, when you play there, it's still this amazing thing. It's still like there are these moments where you think, wow, there's no other, like it just can't get any better.
Yeah.
And that is still there.
Well, then you did an art exchange. Sorry, I feel like I'm grilling you now, but you did an art exchange more than a decade ago. And you said that you didn't see an end to the club. And that was, yeah, so maybe 2014, 2015. How do you feel now?
I feel like I was right. I don't remember that I said that, but do I feel now that there's, I mean, not really. Maybe I mean, back then, for sure, I didn't see it. Now maybe I can imagine it at some point, but also not really, in a way. Probably at some point it will just happen and you will be like, oh my God, what happened? Like one of the best things in the world just disappeared. But I don't see it at the moment.
Before the 20th anniversary party of the club, you made a post. You said, 20 years ago, I was ready to give up DJing. I thought I was getting too old for this. And then my first set at Berghain happened. In that moment, everything changed. Berghain gave me a place of belonging and took me into the unknown. It saved me. What did your life look like at that time that you were thinking of quitting? And like, what were you expecting from what would happen to your career then?
I mean, that was a pretty dark time actually for me. I was like, you know, I had a little bit of a career before. I had like some like residencies or something. But then it all kind of, it didn't feel right anymore. I was a bit like, and struggling financially, was like working here and there, doing miserable jobs, um, and that's why it was like such a thing. Like I played there for the first time. It was like, oh my God, like this is what I was waiting for. Like, I also felt like this is how techno should be presented, or like this is really everything I imagined it to be. And and I was not sure what's going to happen, but I just felt like, okay, this is a pivotal moment in my life. Like, this is meaningful. And I felt right from the beginning of the club also that it will kind of, shine a light a bit that goes beyond the walls of this building out into the world. Like, I knew it's something unique and special from the beginning, and yeah, that definitely became true. And for me, of course, the whole like career changed, everything changed.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What? I mean, obviously, it's also hard work, but also incredible luck, timing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's both.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be open for the luck to receive it.
Yes,
in a way.
definitely. Yeah.
But then when it hits,
when it hits, it hits.
when it
Yeah.
hits, it hits.
Fadi, you became a resident of Berghain a couple of years ago, or has it been longer than that?
22.
22.
Mhm.
So at the time, Ari called you the club's newest golden boy. That's a direct quote. And that happened after you got your first releases into the hands of the right people, according to this review that Andrew Rice wrote. So tell us a little bit about how that happened, and what did your career and your relationship to this world look like before that?
Well, I mean, I at that point I definitely knew it's all or nothing basically. So I really, especially, I mean, that was right after COVID, when I was asked to become a resident at Berghain, and so I didn't really know where things were going before that. So I was really taking my time, just making music and then see what happens.
You didn't know where things were going. You mean in terms of your own?
In terms of
career?
my career, I mean,
Mm.
I had international gigs every now and I played regularly, but I didn't really know if that was a sustainable thing for me. So I knew I wanted to continue making music, but I had, I played with the thought of, maybe studying something else or maybe working in some other some other part or something.
Mm.
So when I was asked to become a resident, that really was a big game changer for me, because
Yeah.
I kind of felt like, okay, I'm actually I'm actually on the right path, just focusing on music and just being myself basically. So I kind of felt that recognition in a way, and
Mhm.
also in terms of gigs and everything, that really was a big change.
Aside from like boosting your profile, how did it play a role in your development as an artist?
Well, I mean, I definitely learned how to really prepare myself for long playtimes and long sets, and I always feel like when I play at home, here in Berlin at Berghain, I put in I really put in the work, So I I feel like it's I've become a way better DJ
Mm.
actually. Or I mean, I still learn how to play that room in different slots and for different audiences, maybe, or in different constellations. I think that really helped me to become a better DJ actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
Someone asked me this question once in an interview, and I thought it was a really good question, so I'm going to pose it to both of you. What is your definition of success? When you first started, and what is it now? Like, has it changed or stayed the same?
Well, for me, success is when you are really content with what you're doing. and when you kind of feel very like, and when I make music or when I play music for other people, I really kind of want to transcend in a way. And if I'm, if I'm able to get into that state of mind, that feels like success for me. I don't know how to really define it or how to explain it, but there's this this kind of special feeling when you're really, when everything around you just kind of shuts down and you are really in the moment. And I think with music, or I only get that feeling with music, and like reaching that state of mind is when I feel successful. So that's success for me. Like if you find something where you get into that state of being, state of mind.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of that. Like, I think success is also individual. Like for everyone, means something else. It's definitely when you do what you love, and it's more like a personal thing. When you feel like, for example, in the studio, when you after a lot of testing going around, and then you come up with something that you really enjoy, that just hits the nail, or like that you feel is grooving, and like that is success without looking outside, without thinking of like will other people enjoy this. It's more like an inward kind of thing, that you live up to your own standards or something that you want to achieve. With DJing, the same. Like I always look for this magic moment where the room is just vibrating, and that I don't know if I actually would call that success. It's just like that's this moment that you want to achieve. I think also success for me means a bit like, working like as an artist, to being able to have the financial freedom to do what you love. Actually, that is success in a way. Like especially when you do something that is not like so common. I mean, now it's very common that everyone wants to be a DJ or something. But like when I started, it was also very like, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Or or older generations is like, yeah, but at some point you need to do something with your life, right? And then achieving that point where no, you actually can live very well from it, and you do what you love and being creative. Like, what else can you ask from life? That's amazing.
Yeah, I like that answer. Ben, you continue to draw enormous crowds. Has maintaining that kind of level of fandom required ongoing work, or has it kind of just happened very easily throughout your career?
It's both. I think it's ongoing work or dedication. For like, I always see it like every show or every gig is important, no matter if it's small or big. That's the ideal. Of course, sometimes there's like not much you can do when the sound system is crap, or like, it's not all in your hand, but you still try to make it the best possible. And to always look for new music, for something that inspires you. Like once you start kind of staying on one spot, and not really look for something new that is out there, then it becomes repetitive and boring. And there are always these times when you feel like, you you have a full day of going through new music and promos and demos, and you feel like everything just sounds the same. Like there are always these cycles of like there's maybe something new popping up, and then it goes into this kind of same style over and over again. So yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate enough or lucky enough to still have good crowds, big crowds, and I mean, of course, some of it is also a bit of a experience that you can pull from experience to play in different kind of situations and festivals and clubs, and you just know what you do in a way. But also, on the other hand, yeah, to always look for, to always stay fresh, like in the moment, not to just rely on your experience or something.
Mm. I'm interested, you both have articulated experiencing moments in your career that felt very uncertain or where you weren't sure about the sustainability of it. And obviously, in both of your cases, becoming affiliated with Berghain was really a turning point. But for the large majority of artists, they don't get invited to have a residency at Berghain. And I think these fears plague a lot of people. What would you say to people who are going through a similar thought process?
Well, I mean, I can obviously only speak for myself, but I always knew that I want to make music no matter what. So actually, this kind of sustainability or success, or however you wanna call it, is just a like a side factor, let's say. So you know, if you really want to make it out of love, then it doesn't matter if you're successful with it or not. So I always felt like if I have to, if you have to have a job to keep on making music, then I'm gonna have a job and make music on the side. Mm-hmm. So I think if you don't pressure yourself with being successful, I think it's way easier to make something that's true to yourself. Mm. Maybe. Yeah. So I think it's just good to keep on doing what you do or what you love, and everything else will fall into place. Mm.
Do either of you have specific like goals or milestones for the next chapter of your career? I know, Ben, you seem to have kind of a more domestic life now. I saw you just got married, you have a kid. I imagine maybe your priorities have changed, maybe not. But I'm curious, for both of you looking forward, what that looks like.
Of course, having a kid now is, your focus shifts a bit, and you need time for that, and you want to make time for that and stuff. That is definitely the case. But nevertheless, I mean, there's not like these big goals or something that I have, but I just know that I want to continue what I love, which is playing and making music. But yeah, I don't have like this big next chapter vision. I mean, I do what I do, and I do the photon shows and stuff like that, and that's all ongoing, and keeps a lot of my attention. Yeah, just roll with it.
I sometimes feel like I'm just at the beginning still. So I have a lot of creative ideas that I wanna fulfill, and that I haven't actually started realizing yet. So I think the next big steps, or however you want to call it, would just be realizing those ideas that I have, and maybe finishing those. Yeah.
You're both really busy. Is there anything that's part of your daily or weekly routine that you do to stay balanced?
I mean, yeah, you just try to get enough sleep during the week.
Okay. Pretty easy one.
Just to get a massage and sauna and do some workout, and yeah, that just trying the best to balance out your heavy weekends, and it's just really not regular sleep and lots of flying and all that crap.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's it.
I don't have a.
You don't have a routine.
No
yeah,
routine?
I don't have. I want to have a routine. So. Yeah.
Okay. Just wake up, studio. Okay. Is there anyone who's inspiring you right now in music or beyond music? Obviously, you're listening to things beyond techno. So I'm curious, what's been on your playlist?
Well, I'm actually quite inspired by the Outer National section at Hardwax.
Okay.
So there's a lot of unfamiliar music that can be found. So I think that at the moment that is quite a big inspiration for me.
Are you you're going to the store and digging, or you're doing digging online?
Both
Okay.
actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I would just try and listen to new music that feels very unfamiliar and new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what keeps me going at the moment.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like actually listening more intensely to music when I'm in a phase of working in the studio, actually, because then I kind of need stuff that fires me up a bit. Like when we worked on the album, we also sent each other. I mean, you more to me than I do, maybe, because him working at Hardwax and always discovering new stuff, and sent me stuff like, wow, yeah, that's some cool new stuff that is inspiring. Otherwise, to be honest, I enjoy a lot just silence sometimes, or I listen to podcasts most of the time. Like when I'm in my car or something, I listen to podcasts. Not so much music, actually.
What are your favorite podcasts? The RA Exchange?
Sorry?
No, I'm joking.
That would be the right answer now.
right. I missed that opportunity. A lot of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, all kinds of direction. Like all the some of the popular podcasts and stuff. Like lots of knowledge, wisdom, nutrition, science. Like so much interesting stuff now with podcasts and YouTube that you can learn.
Yes.
It's amazing. So sometimes when you have limited time when you can listen to stuff, it's like, do you want to listen to music now or actually want to learn something?
Totally. Yeah. What are your plans for Layer? Are you going to release more music on the label?
No.
You don't want to answer, or you there? No.
No. Yeah, we'll see. We keep it open. So we don't wanna. I think we don't wanna say too much. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. How about, what do you see as the next chapter in techno, both in terms of the sound and style, as well as who's involved? Because we're kind of, the last few years since the pandemic, there's this new generation taking the reins, which has been exciting, but it's been a big shift.
It's always so hard to predict the future.
Yeah.
I always kind of refuse to basically also in that question comes up when you go for dinners with promoters or other artists and stuff, that then, or some driver that picks you up from the airport, that question of hey, where do you see techno going? What's the next thing? And I don't know. If I knew, I would probably be on it already. Or I mean, it's not like that I would want to follow every trend, but it's like,
Or rather, what would you like to see?
what would yeah. I mean, I think there was a little bit of a shift already now in like recently, kind of, where you felt like there's more and more kind of local scenes popping up, new interesting young artists that, for example, go a lot like kind of pulling their inspiration from like traditional classic techno, but making it their own. Maybe it's faster, but it still has the groove and the aura of classic techno in a way. Compared to, for a while, it was like, it felt like there's only hard techno now and nothing else. And now I feel like there's a big variety. Like there's it's a whole world in different directions. So what comes next? I don't know, but it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. Yeah.
I like your positive attitude. And then I guess the closing question, where do you each see yourselves 10 years from now?
That's much easier for him than for me.
Is it?
Yeah, because you have more time.
I don't know. It's a very interesting question, actually, because when I think about myself 10 years ago, I was, I would have never, I never would have believed to be where I am right now. So
That's cool.
I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hope I will be in the same positive state of mind, That's all I hope for.
Yeah.
Speak to you in 10 years. Let's see.
Yes, I'll speak to you in 10 years. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, maybe I realized it is harder for you because the possibilities are like endless. For me, in 10 years, I think I will still be playing. Maybe not as much, because as you get older, like, I mean, I did these tours of 8, 9, 10, 11 shows in a row. I would not be able to do that anymore. It's just physically impossible now. So playing a bit less probably, but still playing and enjoying it even more because you play less. So otherwise,
You'll be the father of a teenager.
And that also, yeah, because I still want him to see how like cool it is to have a dad that is playing.
I imagine that would be cool.
I mean, now that he's 3, he's actually, he realizes more and more that he doesn't like it so much when I'm gone over the weekends. So it's like, I don't like boom, boom, boom. Not so much boom, boom, boom. But then again, after the weekend, he wants to see the videos and he really enjoys it. And then he wants to see more boom, boom, boom.
Great. So we'll see. You'll also be back in 10 years and we can touch base on
Yes,
how
we
that
will. 10 years again, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's been really nice speaking with both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.